Hi, everybody. We here at McStabber Studios appreciate you tuning in to see our tabletop RPG streams. Some of the content of our streams may be a bit mature and cause emotional responses in viewers. We really take the well-being of our viewers very seriously, and we want you to do what you need to if something triggers you. Mute the stream, take a break, or just skip an episode. Otherwise, if you decide to stay tuned in, we are available in chat during the streams to talk you through it if you need that. Thank you so much, and we hope you enjoy this game session. Welcome, everyone, to our one-shot of Bluebeard's Bride. This is the second game of Bluebeard's Bride that I have run, and we are going to be playing a different story of a different bride today. This game is a Powered by Apocalypse system, very easy to play, very narrative driven, and it is basically based on the folktale of Bluebeard's Bride, which is one of the oldest folk tales ever to be written. It is a story of a bride that is defiant and gets punished by her new husband, but we will see what this bride's choices will be based on the psyche aspects that are playing today that we are going to call sisters. So go ahead and introduce yourself, sisters.
Hello, I'm Will. You can find me on Twitter at WillRolePlayer. I'll be playing the Animus.
Hi, I'm Spectre or Michelle, depending on how you know me, and I will be playing the Fatale, and you can find me at Spectre Elefit on Twitter.
I'm Corey, or Uncon Celestial on Twitter, or Unconscious Celestial everywhere else, and I will be playing Mother.
Hi there, I am Sammy. I am playing the Virgin, and you can find me on Twitter at Return to Sender.
Hi there, I'm Lauren and Artemis Online. You can find me at Lauren M. Klein on Twitter. I'll play the witch.
So these are our sisters, and of course I am Rinlyn Dare, and I'll be playing the groundskeeper, or otherwise known as a GM, for these players. So to start, each player has chosen their character, and they are each playing a different aspect of our new bride. We're going to delve a little deeper into these sisters, though, to find out what their relationships are with each other, because they all have to live within the same mind. I'm sure they have some interesting relationship dynamics. So we're going to ask some questions of these sisters to find out what bonds they have, positive or negative, with their other sisters. Animus, you hold yourself apart from your sisters, but which sister is the only one who soothes you?
Mother is the only one that soothes me.
Okay, go ahead and enter that on your character sheet under the sisterly bonds for the first one. And then explain a time they calmed your rage. It's okay, take your time.
Yeah, I'm not seeing what
Okay. Yep, on your Roll20 character sheet.
Right. I'm at the Animus thing and Sisterly Bonds.
Sisterly Bonds. But your first one, you're going to put that your mother calms your rage, and then an example of how she did that.
All right.
Okay. So give us just an example of how the mother calmed your rage.
Sure. I would say she's very soothing when I have sensory overload, whether it's being overloaded with bad memories or whatever.
Okay, that's a very good one. You may want to make a note of that on your character sheet as well to reference during gameplay. Okay, and I'll move on to the next sister while you do a little bit of typing. Okay? All right, then, Fatali. Your sisters are who they are, boring and predictable. But which sister has no idea of a woman's true power?
The witch.
Okay, and explain why you wish to teach her.
The witch is overt with the power that makes us dangerous. I wish to teach her how to hide it.
Okay, so go ahead and put that on your character sheet in your first sisterly bonds box. And then Mother, you know best and try to guide your wayward sisters, but which sister irritates you with their obstinance?
Oh.
The Fatale? Okay. And then explain a time they undermined your authority.
I want to go with the most obvious, but at the same time.
Go for it. Go for it.
Deciding to wear something that may have put us in danger.
Okay. So go ahead and note that in the first sisterly bond box on your character sheet. And we will move on to the next sister. So Virgin, you trust your sisters for the most part, but which sister blackens your innocence with her every word?
The Fatale.
Everybody's ganging up on the Fatale today. Okay.
I'm so sorry. I didn't realize it. So
No, that's
terrible.
okay. This is fantastic. Okay, so explain to me how she became your enemy.
Well, she's so overt with her own power. There are ways that we can. I think she's just too forward.
Okay.
She's far too forward.
Note that on your character sheet in the first sisterly bond box, and now we will move on to the witch.
Okay.
Okay. And we will come around to the second question to everyone again. Okay, so witch, your sisters are not nearly as important as power, but which sister is a useful tool?
The Virgin.
And
She
explain,
is-
how they helped your pursuit of blasphemous craft.
She's a great distraction from the true power that we have. Her innocence and naivete is very easy to persuade that we have no such power.
Okay, so go ahead and make a notation of that to remind yourself on your character sheet in your first sisterly bond box. And we will get to the second box, and I'll start with the Animus for that one. Are you ready, Animus?
Yep.
Okay. So, as you do hold yourself apart from your sisters, you are envious of which sister?
I'm envious of Witch because I will never attain her level of power.
There you go. That's the answer to your second box. Because you completely did the explanation right in that statement as to why you are less than them. Okay. All right, Fatali, are you ready for your next one? Okay. So as your sisters are boring, predictable, you try to draw in which sister with your seductive aura?
The Animus.
Okay, and explain how you hide your insecurities from her.
I prove to be useful in all situations such that I am worth protecting.
Go ahead and note that in your second sisterly bond box. I am seeing some very interesting relationship dynamics here. Okay, are you ready, Mother? Okay. So, as you do know best and try to guide your sisters, you trust which sister to have your back?
Probably Witch.
Okay. And explain a time they supported you in a time of need.
Probably during a time where I needed to aid in wisdom to help us.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Yep, that makes total sense. And as long as it makes sense to you, that's what's important because it's going to impact how you relate to her in the game. All right, go ahead and note that in your second box. Okay, Virgin, are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. You do trust your sisters, Which one often helps you play tricks on the others?
The witch.
Okay. And explain a time when she was your ally in mischief.
Well, she often helps me trick the Fatale into thinking she has more control than she does.
That's a great one.
And then taking it away.
Go ahead and note that in your second box. And which, are you ready?
Ready.
Okay. So, as your sisters are not nearly as important as power, which sister do you believe draws an evil to her?
The mother.
Okay, and explain what you have done to keep that evil at bay.
As I advise her and play the part of a wiser voice, I try to guide her despite her thinking she's the one in charge.
There you go. Make a note of that in your second box. And you can each let me know when you are ready to move on to the wedding.
Yep.
Ready?
Ready?
Okay, we're going to wait for everyone.
Hurry.
No, you're fine. You were the last one we asked the question of, so take your time. I want to make sure you guys have ample notes that you need to help influence your role play. So,
Okay, ready?
okay. So, as we deal with this wedding prep, first we need to know what our bride looks like, what kind of life she had, what she's leaving behind, those kinds of things to develop this personality that you all inhabit and make up. So, Animus, what are the bride's hands like?
They possess a number of calluses despite their dainty nature due to the fact she enjoyed crafting wooden projects in her father's carpentry studio.
Okay, so make that note in your first wedding prep question box. Fatali, what does the bride's mouth look like?
It always has a faint blush of pink with a sweet pout and a joyful smile. But if you stare at it closely, it has a faint tinge of bruising.
Note that in your sheet, please. Mother, what is the bride's figure like?
As in short or just actual figure?
Actual figure. Is she a build, curvature, or not? That kind of thing.
Yeah. So she is muscular, but she still has curves.
Okay, is she short or tall?
Yes, medium average height.
Average height, okay. And go ahead and note that in your first wedding prep question box. Virgin, what do the bride's eyes look like?
They are almost reminiscent of a pine forest.
Okay.
Eternally youthful, green, and rather pleasant.
Okay, go ahead and note that in the first box under wedding prep. And which, what is the bride's hair like?
Dark and long. She wears it in a loose braid with colorful flowers or beads woven in.
Okay. And note that if you haven't already. All right, Animus, are you ready for your next question? Okay.
Yep.
What weakness do you give away when others hold your hand?
Deep set insecurity.
Okay. What is that insecurity about?
Never feeling good enough. No matter what she accomplishes, it's
Okay.
never be enough in her eyes.
Okay. Make a note of that on the second question on the wedding prep. on your sheet. Vitali, how do others keep the bride quiet?
By creating space around me with no other people in it.
Okay. Note that in the second question. Mother, what do others wish was different about the bride's figure?
They wish that she was softer, daintier, not as
Robust?
not as muscular. Yeah.
Okay, make a note of that on the second question of wedding prep. Virgin, how do others know you want them when they gaze into your eyes?
Her eyes, when she wants someone, her eyes have a more of a depth. The youth and the warmth is superficial almost. There's I guess it's hard to explain. It's more like looking into a green abyss.
Okay, make a note of that.
It is endless for her love with people.
Okay, very good. Make a note of that on your second question under wedding prep. And which? How do others like the bride to wear her hair?
Others would prefer if the bride wore her hair in a bun or a tighter braid, something more proper.
Okay, make a note of that in the second question under wedding prep. Animus, what are you leaving behind from your provincial life to become Bluebeard's bride?
For some reason, he doesn't want me to see my family, my siblings.
Okay, so you're leaving behind your family. Make a note of that in the third question under wedding prep. Vitali, same question for you. What are you leaving behind from your provincial life to become Bluebeard's bride?
Taste of honey by a sun-warmed stream and a piece of cobalt glass handed from small hands to small hands, the last taste of normalcy before I was what I was.
Go ahead and make a note of that. Mother, same question. What are you leaving behind from your provincial life to become Bluebeard's bride?
My closest friend.
Okay, make a note of that. Virgin, what are you leaving behind from your provincial life to become Bluebeard's bride?
A hairbrush that had been in the family for many generations.
Okay.
It almost symbolized the structure of her family.
Okay. Make a note of that on your sheet. And then which? What are you leaving behind from your provincial life to become Bluebeard's bride?
A few local artisans that made beautiful objects of everyday art.
Okay. Make a note of that. Animus, are you ready for your next question? Okay. When you first met, what loving gesture did Bluebeard make that won you over?
We met at a dance, and he came up and took my hand and wanted to dance with me.
Okay. So he chose you. Okay. Make a note of that on your next question under wedding prep. Vitali, when you first met, what loving gesture did Bluebeard make that won you over?
Covered me with his cloak and demanded no physical affection for the act.
Go ahead and make a note of that. Mother, when you first met, what loving gesture did Bluebeard make that won you over?
Offered a gift to a neighborhood child.
Okay, make a note of that. Virgin, when you first met, what loving gesture did Bluebeard make that won you over?
When we first met, he presented us with a single white lily.
Okay. Make a note of that on your sheet. And which? When you first met, what loving gesture did Bluebeard make that won you over?
He noticed that the white lily was my favorite flower. And when the lily he gave me faded, he had a local artisan create a work of art to replace it.
Very nice. Go ahead and note that on your sheet. Okay, so Animus, what gift did you present to Bluebeard before the wedding, and why did you choose it?
A crafted wooden box with dovetailed corners and made with about 6 different woods to symbolize just how a strong enough bond doesn't require nails or anything else. Who knows what the box will contain in the future.
Okay, make a note of that on your sheet. Fatali, what gift did you present to Bluebeard before the wedding, and why did you choose it?
A piece of cobalt glass was within that box. It is a representation of the joy of simple things.
Okay, very good. Make a note of that. Mother, what gift did you present to Bluebeard before the wedding, and why did you choose it?
The box had been wrapped in a handmade quilt to keep him warm on his journeys.
Okay. And Virgin, what gift did you present to Bluebeard before the wedding? Why did you choose it?
I presented him with a white lily clip so that he may remember us when he goes on his travels.
Is it a clip? Is it like a tie tack or a pin for his cravat?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a pin for his cravat.
Okay. Make a note of that. And make sure you note that it's to remember you.
Yes.
Poor Virgin really doesn't want to be forgotten.
No. Remember me, please.
Remember me, please. See me, please.
See me. I'm here.
Okay, so what gift did you present to Bluebeard before the wedding, and why did you choose it?
A handcrafted letter opener with swirls of beautiful color on the handle and a very sharp blade, perfect for business of any kind, so that he can see beauty and power in everyday objects.
Wonderful. Make a note of that on your sheet if you haven't already. And I will tell you that Bluebeard was most pleased with these gifts. He could see their intent, the beauty, the workmanship, and the sentiment with the gifts, and he was most pleased. You sisters did a very good job for this bride. He is inclined to be favorable towards her at this moment of the wedding. So, Animus, last question for our wedding. Do you trust your generous husband, Bluebeard, or do you hold unkind suspicions, and why?
I distrust him because I don't know why we have to be isolated. I don't know why we can't see our family still.
Okay, make a note of that. Fatali, do you trust your generous husband, Bluebeard, or do you hold unkind suspicions? Why is that?
As long as the piece of cobalt glass remains unbroken, I trust him.
Okay, make a note of that. Mother, do you trust your generous husband, Bluebeard, or do you hold unkind suspicions, and why?
I trust Bluebeard, as he is yet to give us a reason to distrust him.
Okay. And Virgin, do you trust your generous husband, Bluebeard, or do you hold unkind suspicions, and why?
I trust him completely. Husband must have our best wishes in mind.
Okay.
He knows best.
Make a note of that. And which? Do you trust your generous husband, Bluebeard, or do you hold unkind suspicions, and why?
I trust my generous husband. He was kind to the artists of my home village and patronized many, gave me beautiful gifts and sweet words. I have no reason not to trust him.
Very good. Make a note of that. So, the wedding prep is completed. The ceremony has been held. The reception was actually at Bluebeard's manor estate in his garden. It is late in the evening. Towards the end of the reception, Bluebeard was called away by one of his groomsmen, and he explained to you that he had to leave suddenly for business. It was very regretful. He wanted to spend the wedding night with the bride. However, this business was most urgent, and he had to leave. He did leave the bride with a ring of keys and told her to feel free to explore her new home, save for one room. That room, he said, was his private escape from the stress of the outside world, and he would appreciate if the bride would respect his privacy and not enter it. The key to that room is a very small key. It stands out on the ring because it is much smaller than the others. It seems like it would go into the door of a closet. But the bride has been instructed to not use that key on the room it goes to. The sister currently in charge of our bride, as she stands alone now, all the guests have left, in our garden, is the witch. You find yourself alone in the garden after all the wedding guests have left. Before the festivities concluded, Bluebeard, as I said, was approached and called away. During the festivities, though, each of you sisters, but especially you, witch, had noticed some oddities from the corner of the bride's eye. You really, truly feel compelled to explore this space before you go into your new home. Now that it is night and quiet in the garden, your vision of the space has changed. Lit by gas lamps, shadows grow long over the overgrown paths and niches. Servants have removed the tables and other decorative items used for the festivities, and now you stand close to a central, weathered copper fountain gazing over part of your new domain. Most of the plants in this garden are overgrown, and most are dead or dying. You spy in a shadowy niche a thriving rose bush, an old oak tree near turned earth, and the main path that the fountain is on leads you back to the manor house, which you can enter through double French doors. What would you like to lead the bride to explore first?
I would like to approach the fountain.
Okay. As the bride steps closer and examines the fountain, the patina on the fountain makes strange, it's a copper fountain, of course. The patina of it makes strange shapes that appear to be spiders forming webs with the veins in the metal. The water in the fountain flows freely and is crystalline and clear. What do you do?
Like to examine the water. Is there anything in it?
There is actually nothing in the water as you peer into it, but you do see a reflection of yourself, or actually of the bride, with her long, loosely braided dark hair, with beads woven throughout it in various colors that catch the gas lamp light and sparkle slightly, even though it is dark out. Her beautiful white linen dress that she wore for her wedding, with lovely lace embroidered onto it. Her pure, innocent face, but sturdy shoulders. Do you touch the water?
I do.
It is very cold, so cold it makes her fingers burn almost on contact.
jerk my hand back.
Indeed. Because you did so quickly, the bride was not harmed or damaged. Now, sisters, is there anything else you would like to explore in this room? Or in this space, I should say.
I would like to see the rose bush.
Yes.
Okay. So, the Fatali has spoken up within the bride's mind and has said she would like to investigate the rose bush. Fatali, as the bride approaches the rose bush, you may ask 2 questions. You will find them on your maiden moves sheet.
One moment.
Yep.
What about this item is odd or uncanny?
It is odd that this rosebush seems to be the only plant truly thriving in this garden of death.
Why does Bluebeard keep this item?
It reminds him of a former bride.
As a mental aspect, I lash back from that.
Do you feel you should take 1 trauma from that?
Not yet, no.
Okay. I will allow that for this case because you did not cause physical harm to the bride yet. Would anyone else like to investigate further or do any other actions at this time with this rose bush?
Not with the rose bush. I had a thing with something else.
Okay, well, we will get to the next object once we're finished with the rose bush.
I would like to know... Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I would like to know what memories does this item hold?
Okay, so you are going to investigate it?
Yeah.
Okay. A young bride wanted to make Bluebeard's garden vibrant and lush and full of life. And she loved roses. If you are investigating, you can ask another question. Is there one you would like to ask?
No, that's it for this one.
Okay. Would you like to do any ring moves regarding this object since you control the ring?
I don't have anything yet. No.
Okay. You notice on further inspection, or at least the bride does, as she's looking very closely, there are a multitude of buds on this bush. However, there is one rose that has fully exploded into a magnificent blossom. It is covered in spider webs. What do you do?
There's something very beautiful about that, even if it is decay.
I agree. It's almost like lace.
Perhaps at another time we can come back and make a sketch of it in our sketchbook.
Perhaps plant more flowers. Seems this garden needs a little bit more
life.
Do any of you
Yes.
decide to have the bride lean in towards that perfect rose?
I wouldn't.
Too new.
Spider webs, that's close enough.
Yes.
Okay. So, moving on, sisters, is there anything else in this space you would like to examine closer before you go inside?
I wouldn't. Sorry.
I'm interested in seeing the Patinaed copper fountain.
We'd already examined that. If you would
Oh,
like
really?
to, yeah, we did. The
Okay,
patina
never
seemed
mind.
like it was the The green patina represented, it almost looked like spiders creating webs with the different veining that it made on the copper.
Okay.
Yeah, and the water was exceptionally cold, but it was clear and there was nothing in it.
Okay.
I would like to investigate the tilled dirt.
Okay,
I'm wondering if Bluebeard is trying to plant more.
Okay. So as you approach the path of turned earth, you hear a whisper. You can't make out what it's saying, but you hear it. It's a soft feminine voice. As you get closer to the earth, you hear it. Please help me. I'm trapped under here. You notice a shovel leaned against the oak tree by the turned earth. What do you do?
Investigate the earth with the maiden move.
Okay, what maiden moves would you like to do?
Investigate the. No, I take stock.
Okay, so you get to ask one of those questions.
What traps have been laid for the bride?
A hard lesson.
Would
Go ahead.
I was about to say, would an attempt to find or help this spirit be a care for someone thing, or
Absolutely. You can direct the bride to pick up that shovel and dig that earth.
I would like to do that. The feminine voice is what's driving her to do that.
Okay. So the bride picks up the shovel and begins digging the earth. The shovel's handle is very rough and it causes her hands to get scraped and begin to bleed as she digs. She doesn't have to dig far before she hits something hard. This makes the bride's pulse race, bounding, racing through her ears and through her head. She is absolutely driven to get to whatever is hollering for help. She drops the shovel. Her bloody hands from the shovel's rough handle go and claw at the dirt to see what's trapped under it. And as she moves the dirt away, she sees a box. And then feels an arm on her shoulder that snatches her out of the shallow pit she's dug. The bride is turned around and there is a woman, young woman, probably slightly younger than her, standing in front of her with red hair, loose and wild, saying, "You found it. Thank you so much. Now, I must teach you how to survive. You must be pliant," and she takes her hand and strokes the bride's cheek. But as the bride looks down from the woman's firm gaze, she sees that while this woman seems human, below her waist she has the body of a giant spider.
I'm not in control, but I would like to back away.
Before we move, she seems sympathetic, even though her lower body is a spider. Do we want to antagonize her, or should we accept her advice?
I have nothing against accepting the advice. I want away from the spider, though.
Heather agrees.
I'll nod, but step back.
As you go to step back, she grips the bride harder, and little spiders come from behind her and start wrapping web around the bride. "No, you must listen, or else he will kill you too."
I
What
would
do you
like to
do?
shiver in fear.
Okay.
And
So when you shiver
Horror.
in fear, you are going to name the thing you are most afraid will happen.
the spiders will wrap me in silk, and I will be placed in the pit that I just dug and buried alive.
It is so much worse than that, dear sister. If you don't listen to this horror, she will have you completely wrapped in silk and then drain you dry before burying you.
Anyone else want to escape this room, like now or yesterday?
Yes.
I almost think we should listen and see what she says. She seems to be offering advice in earnest.
And she seems to want to keep us alive.
If she harms us, I propose we fight it.
She also suggests that Bluebeard killed us.
Or
killed her.
Killed her.
I will bow to the other sister since I am alone in my...
Sister with the ring, what decision do you make?
I want to stay and hear what she has to say.
You hold the ring. What move would you like to do at this point? Now, I will say that the bride does have her hands still free at this time. The silk is around her lower body.
Since I've already have bleeding hands, I would like to spill more blood by pushing at my palm to commune with the horror.
Are you using your special sister face move? Okay. All right, let me take a look at yours. Okay, so you are spilling your blood to commune with the horrors of the room. You mark one trauma, which you have already done, and I will share whisperings about what happened here and might ask you a question or two for you to answer. So with this, you are getting a deeper understanding of this horror. She was murdered because she was defiant. She truly wants to educate new brides so that they might survive. However, due to the nature of the violent death she faced, her methods may be a bit twisted.
I think that if she's offering advice on how to better serve husband, then we should listen.
Yes, and if she's been murdered herself, I definitely would like to hear how to avoid the same fate.
Others suggest that we should maybe try and escape.
Matters why she was defiant.
Yes, I think, as I said, if she can give us some advice, we can avoid the same fate that she
But if she was
suffered.
defiant herself, what advice could she possibly have to give at that point?
To not do
Other than just to tell us what she did.
that may be enough to tell us what she did that we may avoid it.
I think in any case it might soothe her soul to tell her story.
That is true.
Okay, so
What's the cost?
raise your hand if you want to stay. Raise your those who want to stay to hear this out. Raise your hand. Okay, those that want to leave right now. Okay, so you are outvoted, Mother. Sorry. I will say, if this gets too bad, remember we do have an X card. Okay.
I'm not worried about that.
I debated.
Okay. So, sisters, you have decided to stay after the witch communed. She spilled her blood, took trauma. The bride has bled more from these superficial wounds in her hands. They are now actually quite severe. And the horror standing before her says, "Oh, you have blended your blood in with the earth here. This is good. This is good." The small spiders stop wrapping the bride. And she looks at the bride and says, "Will you listen?"
We will listen.
And she nods. "Don't go into the room. Don't go into the room. Don't go into the room." And suddenly the bride hears an older woman's voice from the French doors. Mistress, it is getting late. You must come in, bathe, and get ready for bed." And as the bride looks over to see the housekeeper standing at the door and looks back, the horror is gone. What do you do?
Wise for us to clean the wound.
Spider silk still here?
I'm sorry?
Is the spider silk still here?
It is, but it is not so bad that you couldn't just walk through it.
I was just wondering if we could use some of it to push into the wound to staunch it temporarily.
Absolutely you could.
It seems emblematic of what we just experienced.
Okay. So, the Fatale has led the bride to push some of the spider silk that is on her legs to rip it off and press it to her wound. It seems to slow the bleeding down. But this wound will need thorough cleaning. Go ahead.
I was going to say, are we attempting to propose a truth of what happened here?
You can, or you can decide to exit the room without proposing a truth.
It may be early yet to decide anything about our husband.
I agree.
Okay. So with an escape or exit without a truth, a hard bargain. You can either risk damaging the bride's hands more with the exceptionally cold water in the copper fountain to clean her hands, or she risks developing a severe staph infection that may limit her ability to use her hands for quite some time.
Animus, you have the
I would
most
say
stake
try
in this.
Yeah. Seems like maybe worth the risk.
To use the
Clean it
fountain?
out.
Okay. As the bride goes to the fountain to wash her hands, she is hesitant because she knows it hurts her fingers to put it in such icy cold water. But she does so because she knows she's lived a provincial life where it was hard at times, and knowing that there is a risk of infection could be fatal. She washes the blood from her hands in the clean water. The water seems to go cloudy with dirt, blood, debris. And it burns because of its being so cold. After she gets her hands cleaned, she raises up and her hands are completely red from the cold and numb. She wraps them in her skirts and heads to the housekeeper. And the housekeeper looks at her and says, "Oh, come. I'll take you to the bathhouse. The warm water will help bring feeling back to your hands. Goodness, what did you do to yourself?" and the bride enters the manor. Just one moment. Bill, do we need to take a break due to technical issues with Twitch? Okay. Okay. Okay, so chat is down, but the stream is still fine based on what Bill is telling me. So I am sorry you guys are not able to chat while we are playing, but thank you so much for hanging out and watching us anyway. Okay, so now we have gotten through our little fan service room from our last bride. Is everyone okay?
Yep.
Yay!
Yes.
That is generally the tone of Bluebeard's Bride. It is gothic horror, and we are going to explore the manor now, starting with the bathhouse. So we will wait for Bill, who's running tech for us, to put up a nice, pretty image from the book of the bathhouse.
Ooh, that's pretty.
Mm-hmm. Much prettier than that nasty old garden. Okay. So as the housekeeper, you don't even know her name yet. But as the housekeeper leads the bride to what she calls the bathhouse, it's actually a bathing chamber within the manor. It's actually right near the master suite, she tells you. She says that there is an attendant in the bathroom, in the bathing chamber, that will assist the bride to make sure she is thoroughly cleaned, and that she will lay out garments on the bed in the master bedroom next door for the bride. The bride enters. The air in the bathhouse is filled with the heady scent of perfumed oils, torrid and oppressive. Steam floods over the floor, scrolling arabesque tiles of aquamarine flowers, saffron-maned lions, and burgundy simurgs. A steel drain was forged to appear like lush foliage with flowers and leaves. Soft whines escape the drain, the pipes below exhaling from the heat. The mist plays at the paws of two granite lions leaping at one another, forming an arch over a decadent sofa at the end of the room. A large stone pool in the center of the room is carved with gallant horses fleeing an oncoming flood. A naked, muscular woman plunges her hand into the pool, checking its temperature, her black pubic hair glistening with water. She motions to a chair and a table topped with multicolored oil bottles. As of right now, the witch still holds the ring. What would you like to do?
Would like to pass the ring to the Fatale.
Okay. So the ring will go to the Fatale. As you has voluntarily given up control of the ring, you will not take trauma until the Fatale gives the ring to someone else.
Once I'm in the room, I would like to disrobe and go to the bottles to investigate them.
Okay. Stripping down, you sit next to the pool of water. The woman picks up a loofah and moves over to you. She takes you in her arms and scrubs your body. She is not gentle. Starting with your arms, she rubs you with oils and splashes you with water, then takes the loofah and vigorously scrubs your skin. Amazed, you see layers and layers of dead skin sloughing off onto the ground. With each clump of skin falling to the ground, you see the dirt, the filth you brought into the house. She moves to your belly, legs, privates, and finally washes your hair. Her scrubbing intensifies, and you see strands of your hair falling into the drain, then clumps. The woman won't stop. What do you do?
I pull away and cry for help is one of those things. Right?
Okay. You're going to roll your resilience.
This is going to go badly, but it's okay. Sorry.
That's okay. So you're going to click on resilience on your character sheet under the number.
Yep. Nope.
Yeah, you did not get any help. She continues to scrub vigorously at that hair, and you're seeing clumps of hair and scalp going down the drain.
I would like to twine sensuously next as my next defense.
Is that your special move?
Yes, and then say, I see you staring. Is it jealousy?
Okay. You're going to... Hang on. Okay. So you asked that as your initial lead-in. She leans forward as she grips your hair tightly and says, of course it's jealousy. He always picks you girls. I could satisfy him so much more.
Says.
And now you're going to mark a trauma and ask a follow-up question.
Yep, I am. Sorry. And say... what would soothe you?
Being appreciated for my beauty for once.
I can wash your hair and make you look as I do. I appreciate female beauty as well. It is calming.
The attendant releases her grip on the bride's hair and says, thank you, and allows the bride to wash her hair.
Absolutely will do so.
Very good job. So, once the bride...
Sorry, I wanted to check if anyone else had any comments because I was just running that.
Oh, no, that was
Nope, Mother approves of the compassion.
Handled that nicely.
10 out of 10.
Can.
All right, very good. Okay, so basically it takes some time for the bride to cleanse the attendant's hair. Now, I will say this attendant was cleaner than the bride because the bride had been traveling most of the day and had road dust and everything else going on. But it does take some time, and the bride does make that attendant feel appreciated and admired. And she is much calmer and nicer to the bride after this. She does recommend that the bride get into the pool, that the water temperature is perfect and will help her hands feel better, and wash the oils from her skin and hair. What would the bride like to do at this point, sisters?
Mother thinks that we should.
There are objects in this room. The objects in this room are the flowery drain that you heard making sounds, basically. There is the granite lion arch that you see over the sofa, and there is the bathing pool. And of course, the attendant did recommend going into the bathing pool to clean the oils off your skin so that you're not slipping and sliding all over the tile.
Mother suggests the pool.
Yeah.
Is the bottom of the pool visible? And if so, is there anything to see at the bottom of the pool?
The pool itself has scented oils in it, so the water is not going to be as transparent as you would think that clear, plain water would be, because it is scented to make the bather smell good. Okay. So with the oils, it's going to be a bit swirly, a little iridescent. It's hard to make out what may be in the pool, but it doesn't seem like anything dark or shadowy or anything like that is in the pool.
Just to clarify, the drain is in the floor beside the pool or around?
It is.
Okay.
Yeah, the drain is basically in the floor near the pool. And I'm sure there is a drain in the pool itself as well, but the drain was actually for the outer bathing that was done with the loofah and the hair care and stuff like that before you rinse off in the water.
That's a lovely piece of art. Perhaps we could gaze at it before we slide into the water.
Sure.
Okay, you would like to look at the flowery drain. Okay, as you lean down to examine this drain in the floor, your fingers just fit through the patterned drain. Straining through the slats, you feel them rub against a soft, wet mass. You pull the object from the drain and realize it is a mess of dark hair mingled with a piece of skin.
I would like to propose we also already know the cause of that.
Yeah,
Probably from
like it
us.
would be ours.
I agree.
And I would like to propose a possible truth of this room if everybody is amenable to it.
Are you ready to exit the room, or would you like to wash the oil off the bride's body first?
Like to wash the oil off the bride's body.
I think we should wash first.
I would like to not slip into my bedroom.
Yeah, because I will take into account that the bride is covered in scented oils at this point and will slip and slide all over the house. Okay.
Gross, nasty.
Okay, so as the bride approaches the bathing pool, the pool is filled with scented hot water. As she slips into the pool, her freshly scrubbed skin burns painfully, but soon the oils in the water calm the sensation and she starts to relax. Muscles tense from experiences in the garden and the toil of having a whirlwind wedding and reception this day all release, and she finds herself dozing. As she drifts off, she hears women's voices whispering, but can't make out what they are saying.
I would like to propose something if anybody, because I'm not particularly creeped out by this, given that it fits what my narrative of this truth is.
Perhaps you could share it with us and we can consider it while we still explore.
Absolutely. My statement is that Bluebeard is of the caliber of husband that causes other women to desire him and causes them to brutalize other women in order to attain him, but it is not a function of our husband since he has obviously not shown affection to this woman.
See the validity of that.
I could see that.
So, Fatali, you are proposing something that would make the bride loyal.
Yes.
Okay, we will consider that, but first she needs to wake up from her little nap. Okay. The bride awakens to the sound of a roar, and it makes her startle. Her eyes immediately dart to the lion arch, but they remain unchanged from when this room first entered. You have no idea how long the bride slept in the pool of water, but the water has now gone cool. The attendant is gone from the room. The bride shivers as she exits the pool and finds a soft, fluffy towel on the sofa beneath the lion arch. What do you do?
With that roar, I'd be interested in examining the lions.
Okay.
I agree. They look quite beautiful. I'd like to see them a little closer.
She already wrapped herself in the towel.
I'm with the towel wrapping thing first.
Okay. The towel is just a normal, very luxurious, high thread count towel, and it feels wonderful as the bride wraps it around her and warms her chilled skin. So you're going to investigate a mysterious object. Who was the one that recommended checking out the lions?
The witch.
Okay, the witch. Okay, so witch, you get to ask 2 of the questions from investigate a mysterious object. Move.
What about this item is odd or uncanny?
Nothing is odd or uncanny about these lions. They are merely statues. Perhaps the bride imagined hearing a roar. Might have been a dream.
What memories does this item hold?
If these lions could talk, they would tell you so many tales of various brides that have entered this chamber. Not all were as fortunate as you.
Still holding that it stays in my theory.
Would anyone else like to investigate?
Nope.
Are we ready to exit the room?
Yes.
Okay,
I think so.
Fatali, propose the truth that the sisters agree on.
I would like to hold that the desirability of our husband creates envy in other women and causes them to brutalize each other.
Okay, and what token will you take with you as your token of loyalty and faithfulness?
I'd actually like to take the lions. I know you can't take the lions physically. But...
We have a Mary Poppins bag, so yes, you can take the lions as the representation of that. So we will have one loyalty token on our tracker. Very good. And we exit the room. Yep.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I was about to say, I'm guessing the next room is the bedroom since that's where we were directed.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd like to hand off the token because I'm actually rather unnerved by bedrooms, and I would like to hand it off to the Animus.
Okay. So the ring will be passed to the Animus. Vitali, you cannot take trauma until the Animus passes off the ring, which you are now able to take trauma again because the Fatali has passed off the ring. Okay. So you have the keys, and the bride is wrapped in a fluffy, nice, luxurious towel, but she is stark naked under it and needs clothing. The bride approaches redwood double doors that are embedded with rubies in a pattern that reminds her of pomegranates split in half. They glitter in the light, while the black iron handles sport thorns and threaten to pierce your skin. The key that fits into the lock is a black iron key with what appears to be thorns around the loop. The room beckons. You enter, and the door closes behind you. A large bedroom. Go ahead and change the image, please, Bill, to the master bedroom. Thank you. A large bedroom contains a low, wide bed made up with fox furs and red satin sheets. Gauzy red drapes flutter from the ceiling to surround it. A red vanity with a mirror stands against one wall, and a bowl of fruit sits on a low redwood table. Torch-shaped gas lamps light the room, embedded at even intervals in the wheat-patterned ivory wallpaper. A perfect deer skeleton stands in the corner, tied together with golden wire and posed to look as though it were grazing. The bride does see a linen shift and undergarments laid out on the bed. What do you do?
The bride moves forward and removes the towel and places the attire onto herself.
Okay, so now the bride is dressed. Her hair is a bit damp from the bathing.
Do the towel bit with the hair. And
Okay, got you. She's now got a turban towel on her head. Got you. All right. So there are various objects in this room. What would you like to do, sisters?
I think we should brush her hair. Maybe investigate the vanity.
Okay.
Good.
As the bride moves over to the vanity, she's scrubbing her hair with her towel to towel dry it as best she can. And the towel is very absorbent, so it seems to work pretty well, leaving her hair, instead of dripping wet, but now damp. There is beautiful silver brushes, combs at this vanity. And she sits down in the chair, sees herself in the mirror, and begins brushing her hair. After she is done brushing her hair, she sets the brush down, and her hand grazes across the vanity, and all of a sudden she feels a chill through her body, and a whisper behind her ear. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it.
Already sort of mildly panicked by the bedroom, just saying.
Okay. make sure you do this if you need me to stop, okay?
No, just as the character.
Okay, as the character? Character's
yeah.
a little panicked? Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So, are you wanting to investigate the mysterious object, Virgin?
Yes.
Okay. So, you will ask 2 questions about this vanity from your investigate a mysterious object move.
I would like to know what memories this item holds.
It holds memories of a bride grooming herself in preparation of her wedding night and being panicked about what is to come.
Okay.
You can ask another question.
Why did Bluebeard keep this item?
It was a family heirloom.
I would like to take stock of this room in my panic.
Okay.
I would like to know what traps have been laid for me here.
The bride will relive the horror of another bride in this room.
I am clamoring to exit this freaking room.
How tired are we?
I think, sisters, that memories of the past are just that, memories of the past. We are a different bride. We are a better bride, and I don't think we should fear this room.
I think the rest of you don't understand brutalization in this room.
Mother starts to get what Vitaly is thinking, I think. And
whatever has happened here is out of my control.
I would say, out of curiosity, what is is it floor carpeted? Is it wood? What's the material of the floor? This may be it. Just maybe this isn't even in the thing, but
It wasn't in the description, but we will say it is a hardwood floor.
Okay.
Because it's an upper story, so it's a hardwood floor.
Fair enough. With that in mind, Animus through the bride, is going to be searching for signs of past violence, blood splatter potentially, other signs of just something being off that doesn't fit.
Is the bed investigatable?
The bed is investigatable. You have 4 mysterious objects in this room, one of which was the vanity. The other one is the bed. There is a bowl of fruit and a deer skeleton.
I also want to posit that even though I am alarmed by this room, there are more than our husband in this house to brutalize us.
True.
I'd like to
we
suggest. Oh, sorry.
Nope, go ahead.
The words that she whispered to us, "Don't do it," suggest that there was a choice on her part, not just that she was brutalized without any, as I said, any choice on her part. So perhaps it's not quite as scary as we're trying to think it is.
As dire as my part of the psyche is projecting that it is.
Yes.
So
There are many other ways to be horrified.
Sidebar,
Like to
I love
suggest-
this debate and negotiation between y'all. It's fucking fantastic.
Mother would like to suggest avoiding the fruit, since fruit before bed is always a bad idea, but would like to investigate the bed.
bed itself seems large, luxurious, and exceptionally comfortable. The bride, being rather tired and quite exhausted from the day she's had, is quite interested in curling up in those furs and covers and going to sleep.
Before getting in, she's going to throw back the covers and see if there's anything unusual on the bed, new sheets, old sheets.
You would assume that the sheets are relatively new or at least very well kept because they seem in pristine condition. And they are red silk satin.
Is there any signs of any struggles on the headboard or the...
None at all. None at all.
Given that we seem determined as the rest of the psyche to continue despite the warning, I would like to know what horror is hidden here from the bride. It's a take stock move.
Again, certain objects will lead the bride to relive the trauma.
Investigate the bed then with the questions.
There really is nothing of note with the bed, other than it seems comfortable and inviting.
I would suggest investigating the fruit.
Okay. As the bride, if all the sisters agree, yes, okay.
I avoided fruit, but I outvoted.
Mother's like, nope. I just want out. Why did we agree to marry this guy?
I'm just saying no fruit before bed. Nope.
We're just looking at the fruit, not necessarily eating it.
Okay. Don't eat it.
We want to see if it's the nice expensive fruit.
As the bride looks at the bowl of fruit, she notices it is filled with ripe, sumptuous-looking pomegranates. As she reaches to touch one, the dull skin of the pomegranate spills easily to the touch, revealing the glistening, vulnerable interior. The fruity, spicy scent makes her mouth water. She begins to gorge herself on the soft fruit. And as she does so, she hears a woman sobbing and pleading. "Stop. Please don't do this. Please. No. No. No." She cannot stop herself from continuing to eat the fruit. The bride shovels handfuls of the arrows in her mouth, breaking and bruising the pomegranates. Finally, she stoops to lick the last drops of the juice from the floor, her mouth and hands stained red. Only when she rises does the sound of sobbing finally cease.
I would like to escape. I would like to escape. I would like to escape. Because what did I tell you?
What do we just do?
I guess we were hungrier than we thought.
Yeah, I guess so.
We just licked the floor. I'd like to leave.
At the same time, we still haven't... There's no signs of violence against us. She seemed to want us to stop gorging ourselves rather than, again, someone else stop. Seemed to be directed at us.
I would like to point out that the metaphor of bruising this fruit as we eat it is real explicit.
Yeah.
Is anyone familiar
Heather agrees with that.
the olden tale of Hades and Persephone?
And pomegranates, yes.
The pomegranates. That seems rather odd to me, especially for a wedding night.
The Fatale would like to appeal to the Animus to protect us from this room.
Oh, I assure you I will attempt to.
Animus, what would you like to do? You have sisters that are clamoring within the bride's mind to get out of this room.
I was thinking we could potentially rest, but are you all of the opinion that we will surely
I will scream in your head all night.
But we're also pretty tired. And
will scream in your head all
don't
night.
think,
Also,
forward as always, of the Fatale.
In the effort to potentially try to soothe Vitale, he attempts to try to remember that he does happen to have a small, or her, technically, have a small wooden mallet that she has compelled the bride to bring with them and sort of keeps hidden within the folds of their dress. So
I would also like to ask sorry.
Go ahead.
Let him finish. He was talking about a mallet that I
Yeah.
wasn't aware the bride would have. Go for it.
So potentially if something were to, it's a small one. It's like,
I got you. So
nails.
basically
It's
a
not like-
little weapon of sorts to do protection.
we potentially, if something physical were to attack us
Okay.
while we were trying to sleep, we could theoretically do something about it. If that makes any difference, I am
If
open
as
to
a
leaving.
groundskeeper I could give some tips or suggestions, I will say you of course can play your bride however you choose. However, do consider that if this bride intends to survive and actually have a true marriage to Bluebeard, this will be her bedroom. So if there are
And that was along the lines of my question.
and if there are horrors that happened in this room, they likely need to be addressed and resolved before the bride can ever sleep peacefully in this room.
We may have to exercise whatever's here.
I would also say the witch is cursed with curiosity.
And I'd like to know where the Fatale proposes we sleep, if not in our own bed, given us to our kind husband.
Of all things, Vitale, I would think a bed would be one of our favorite objects, but I don't want to assume. But
I would point out that I am merely the manifestation of the sexuality of the bride. It doesn't necessarily mean I always like it foisted upon me. I like it where I can control it, and something out of my control is happening in this room.
fair enough. But I think we could theoretically re-exert control if something were to be unexpected. But I am open to
Mother.
what you all think. I'm not hard and saying that I will do whatever I want. I am concerned for all their
Are we going
well-being.
to exit the room or are we going to investigate further to try to reveal a truth?
I vote to investigate further.
I do as well.
At this
I
point,
would-
yes.
I'm clearly on the opposite side of this, so like
Okay, Animus.
What are the four objects? It was the bed.
There is one object left. It is the deer skeleton to investigate.
I'll go over to the deer skeleton and ask it the following questions. Let's see. On the investigating a mysterious object.
Well, let me go over the description,
my bad, sorry.
what you experience, and then you can do further investigation or other actions. Okay?
Okay.
So, as the bride walks up to the deer skeleton, the bleached bones of the deer skeleton are held together with golden wire threaded around the joints. It smells strongly of poppies. The deer skeleton twists and falls to the ground, revealing a white-haired young woman with dark eyes. She struggles weakly, and her skin blooms with bruises around her wrists and upper thighs. And her breath smells strongly of opium. The woman stops struggling, her face going blank and tears sliding from her eyes, but her body continues to move as though attacked by an unseen assailant. Finally, her body stops moving, and the woman exhales a cloud of pink-tinged smoke before fading into the bones lying on the floor.
Well, that certainly doesn't bode well.
There are moves that you can do to find out what that was, or what that was trying to convey.
So that was just for me outside of game, that was just a freebie info that isn't investigating yet, correct?
No, that was as soon as the bride approached that deer skeleton, that is what happened. That was a horror of the room.
Okay.
Okay? Not all horrors are going to try to attack you.
Fair enough.
Okay?
Upon investigating an object, I would like to ask, why did Bluebeard keep this item? And also, what memories does this item hold?
Okay, so we are going to deal with why he kept it first. It was a trophy. The deer skeleton was a trophy. The memories of the item. Remember, that young woman, one of his brides, not wanting to consummate her marriage. She was drugged to make her compliant.
Well, that sort of reinforces what Patinaed may have been worried about. Just as a side note on this apparition that we've seen, there was no visual representation of the assailant. Was there?
Not at all. You have no idea if it was Bluebeard that drugged her or attacked her. You have no idea who did that to her.
Jess, we might want to go to the bathroom. I feel like if she was drugged, what was going on with the pomegranates that we couldn't stop eating?
That makes sense to me as well.
Or at least somewhere to
wash your hands.
Wash your hands. Wash
Yeah,
your
well,
face.
the pomegranate juice is going to stain them. Washing them isn't going to clean that off. The bride's hands are now stained red. So
I'm wondering about potentially getting rid of whatever we just ate in case it is something poisonous or put us in a compromised
the bride
position.
does feel fine. Her stomach is very full, a little uncomfortable, but not ill.
I think that it wouldn't be unusual that the husband would keep trophies as he is a hunter. And as was already said, there's no representation that it was our husband who drugged this poor woman.
And if she was in our position where he left her alone with the servants, that would explain why she wasn't interested in the activities.
Indeed.
The
I know
loss
for
of
me, this feels like a heavy amount of disloyalty, even if it wasn't our dear husband. The fact that it happened at all, no matter who, is still a problem.
Oh, it's a problem, but I'm not sure if he wasn't here, how could he protect us from it?
Others suggest that we offer some compassion to the horror, as we've heard them both times now saying, "Don't do it, don't do it."
So maybe they weren't totally loyal and there were repercussions. Is that?
No, I'm suggesting that they were
A suggestion?
saying that to the assailant, like saying, "Don't do it" to the assailant.
Okay.
Could we, offering compassion, would you say we care for?
That would actually be
The horror's gone, though.
Well, you could still do the caress a horror, which is a ring move. That is going to be for the animus. You're going to roll blood. And we'll see how that goes.
If you want to.
I'll try to do that. If we're going to be living in this place, whatever may have befallen, we should attempt to soothe whoever is here, because...
Care for someone could be in one of the other moves, too.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of.
I'm
What
here
is
for
that?
compassion
Oh, care
and
for someone.
loss of
Okay.
control.
Mm-hmm. And that seems like what y'all are trying to gear this towards is compassion for that loss of power and control.
Yeah.
On your character sheet, you're going to click the word blood under the number, and it will roll it for you.
All right.
There you go. Okay, so you got a 7 on that. And with that, on a 7 to 9, the horror will basically shift it to detention, but only if you participate in some way. But basically, in this situation, the horror was more of an apparition and not directly trying to harm you or the bride, basically. So in this, I will consider it a success. The bride says, I am so remorseful that you had to experience this. Thank you for showing it to me. Please rest. And all of you in the bride's head hear a sigh. And then silence in the room. It feels almost as if a presence has been lifted from the room. And with that, the bride is exhausted and heads towards the bed and gets under the covers and dozes off for the night. And with that, we will take our break.
Be my your two eyes, so innocent, so humbly in the half light with me.
And welcome back, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for Bluebeard's Bride. Where we left the bride, she had had her wedding and explored the garden where the reception was held. She decided to exit that room with no truth proposed and no token gathered at that time. However, as she entered, she went to a bathing chamber and seemed to ease the suffering that was going on in that room and decided to take a token of faithfulness from that room to her husband. Now, the bride is awakening in her master bedroom after resolving the trauma that had occurred in this room that had left a specter or apparition. And it is time for the bride to exit, but first she must either decide she's going to just exit without proposing a truth or propose a truth. So, sisters, what truth do you think there is one of this room to be presented?
Me personally, disloyalty. From the standpoint, even if it wasn't Bluebeard, he should have vetted his employees better.
There was a lack of control here, whether of personal control or of staff control, doesn't matter.
Mother, what is your opinion?
I can, Spectre, repeat that?
I said that there was a lack of control here, either of personal control or over the staff.
So either Bluebeard or the staff were the assailants in this case, and either way, it's a failing of Bluebeard.
Yeah, okay, yeah, I'll agree with that.
Okay. Virgin, what is your perspective?
I'd like to think better of Bluebeard. Maybe in time since he has corrected, but it is still a failing of his.
Okay. And Witch, what is your perspective?
Someone took that woman's power from her, and that's unacceptable. And as our husband, Bluebeard should protect us, whether it's from his staff, from his own anger. He failed in this instance.
The bride has decided to take the golden threads that wound up the skeleton in the room, the deer skeleton, as a token of disloyalty. She is a bit bitter about the fact that her husband did not protect a former bride from violence. She leaves the room after she dresses and gets ready for her day in her new home. As she leaves, she is not quite hungry yet. The pomegranates that she gorged herself on last night still sit a bit heavy on her stomach. So she will avoid the kitchens at this time, perhaps visiting them later in the day for lunch. But she does decide to just explore. She heads downstairs. Sunlight is coming through the windows in the main foyer, and she goes down one of the halls behind the stairs. And the first room that catches her eye has an impossibly thin black door and a huge, curvy handle made of gold. she has a hard time finding the small, almost imperceptible keyhole. The key on the ring that seems to fit in this keyhole is a very thin key. It is long but thin and made of gold. It slides into the keyhole, turns, unlocks the door, and the door opens. The room beckons. The bride enters, and the door closes behind her. She has entered the sewing room. The sewing room is lit with weird-shaped oil lamps, and the air is warm because of it. It smells of old fabrics and confinement, as well as a light scent of sweet perfume. The light from the oil lamps gives the place a sense of old, forgotten habits. The room is filled with thick rolls, roughly cut pieces, and half-stitched fragments of fabrics. On the wall, scissors of all shapes and sizes in display draw your attention. In the corner of the room, there is a dark brown mannequin wearing a tight, dark brown corset. In the opposite corner, you see a treadle sewing machine with a piece of cloth stuck in its mechanism, its faded gilding catching the light. Animus, you currently hold the ring. What would you like to do?
I would like to investigate the shears on the wall.
Are you going to maintain control of the ring during this room, or are you going to pass it off?
I will for this room.
Okay. So you're going to look at the scissors on the wall?
Yeah, specifically if there's any blemishes on the blades or rust.
Okay.
Or anything else.
As the bride approaches the various scissors on the wall, you notice there are large knife-edge shears for cutting fabrics, some smaller scissors, obviously, for detail work, even some embroidery scissors, things like that, all hung up neatly in rows on the wall. All of them seem exceptionally sharp and well-maintained and oiled.
I would like to, investigate the object.
You have the following mysterious objects. You've already looked at the scissors.
Okay.
There are weird-shaped oil lamps, a mannequin wearing a tight dark brown corset, and a sewing machine with cloth stuck in its mechanism.
I'd like to go investigate the oil lamps.
Okay. As you look at the oil lamps, they are very weirdly shaped. They almost have a curvature to them similar to a woman's figure, to the casings of the lamps. They are hung on hooks on the wall, and the glow from these oddly shaped casings creates less light at the ceiling, but more light at the bottom where it would be beneficial to work on sewing projects at the sewing station.
All right. Is there any sort of unusual scent coming from the oil lamps? I'm assuming they're lit. Are they lit?
They are lit, and you can smell the oil used. It is whale oil, and you can smell the rendering of that fat into the liquid oil form, and it is very heady.
Very well. How are you all feeling?
Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
How are you all feeling? Any vibes about this area?
I was thinking maybe investigate the corset. That seems like it might reveal some more information.
Very well.
Okay, so as the bride moves over to the mannequin wearing a tight dark brown corset, excuse me, I can't talk today. As you get closer to it, you are surprised by the amount of detail on the mannequin, including the intricate patterns sewn into the seams, as well as the tight how tight the corset appears to be. So the mannequin itself is covered in a fabric casing that has very fine details. It seems as if this casing over the mannequin was completely hand sewn, and it is very intricately sewn at the seams and has beautiful embroidery on the fabric that makes the mannequin. The corset itself, incredibly tight on the mannequin. I mean, totally form-fitting and waist-whittling. Does the bride touch the mannequin?
Yes.
Okay. The mannequin starts to scream with a rough voice. What do you do?
Person
Take stock.
Attempt to see. Is it when it screams? Is it like someone who's having trouble breathing, or
Yes.
is it just like a normal scream?
It's screaming like it's having trouble breathing.
I'm gonna see if I can get rotate the.
And as you lean in closer to it, you can hear it saying, "I can't breathe." Are you going to try to loosen it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I might even take one of the shears off the back and just completely clip it.
Cut it. Well, you are actually able to direct the bride to loosen the corset strings on the back. It falls off the mannequin, and you hear the mannequin say, "Thank you," before she adds, "I'm sorry." The corset starts crawling towards you, determined to get the bride into shape, whether she wants it or not.
I'd like to take, I'm assuming it's still wooded floors if we're on the same floor. I'd like to take, I'm assuming it's one of the top middle shears, the largest ones, and I would take unceremoniously, take partially open and attempt to attack it by stabbing a corset. And
Okay, so you are going to dirty yourself with violence.
Yes.
Let's go for it. Yay! Okay. So when you dirty yourself with violence, this is a ring move. Not every sister can do this, only the one who controls the ring. You're going to roll your carnality. So go ahead and click your carnality on your character sheet. And remember, it's clicking the name of the stat. Okay. You get to choose one. So this is, you can either disable it, silence it, or mutilate it. So which one do you want to do?
I'm going to mutilate the corset.
Okay, so you take the shears and drag them across this corset that is literally trying to crawl up the bride's legs and slice it into shreds. But while you are doing this, the bride cuts into her leg.
Yeah.
Mark II trauma, Animus. Because now there is a bleeding wound on the bride's leg.
Not again.
As the person who did this last time, I'd like to point out there's a lot of fabric in here. We should wrap that.
But you have resolved the threat. The corset is now in tatters on the floor and no longer moving.
I might go over to the sewing machine and
or the fabric rolls and get some fabric.
Yeah, I was gonna. Yeah,
we will go ahead and abstract that. Yes, you are able to shear off some fabric and tie it to bind the wound so that it stops bleeding. Okay, the bride will be slightly slowed with her movement from this point forward because that wound is very sore. Okay. So now you have resolved the horror of the corset. There is still an interesting object left to review. That is the sewing machine. Would you like to do
investigate it?
Okay. Because you could do that or try to leave because you've already been attacked once.
Also, I want to point out at this point, I have no opinions on my husband in this room because the corset is denuded of intent. I don't know if the bride was simply trying to be better or if the husband was expecting us to be better. It's amorphous at this point.
Well, I don't really think I can't really see the husband sewing.
I can imagine a husband who wanted a more feminine figure, though.
Yeah.
Well, he finds us beautiful, and some might say that our figure might not be the most feminine.
But are we going to be wearing that same style of thing? Despite whether we want to or not?
I don't wish to think about this too hard, and I am afraid that if I think too hard about it, it will trigger the mother's fears for our body.
Fair
and
enough.
I know that we are beautiful.
Indeed.
Okay.
Sorry.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Witch.
I don't see that there's anything in this room that serves a purpose for us. I don't see anything further to give
To
us
investigate? So would you like to escape the room?
I would say so.
Or do you want to propose a truth?
I would suggest escape. There's no truth to be found here as far as I'm concerned.
I would like to investigate the sewing machine a little more, I think.
Oh.
Well, that's one vote for investigating, one vote for escaping. Mother, what is your vote? Escaping or investigating?
Escape.
Escape. Okay, so that's 2 for escape. Vitali?
Escape.
3. So that is Animus. Even if you wanted to investigate, I would say that you are outvoted. So we are going to escape the room. Animus, you will deal with the consequences of escape without proposing a truth. Well, there is a price to be paid. You will mark one additional trauma to escape this room, because the bride will trip over the tattered corset on her way out. Do you accept that?
Yes.
Okay. Mark one more trauma and pass the ring.
I will pass it to Mother.
Okay. So Mother now has the ring. And you escape the sewing room with no truth proposed. This poor bride, she can't catch a break. She's traversing these hallways with a limp because she twisted an ankle as well on her way out the door. She's thinking if she goes to the freezer, she may be able to get some ice for her ankle. Because she seems to be pretty wise with basic first aid.
Okay, hello.
Grab bandages.
The freezer. The icy door of the freezer hums with electric power. Pressing down the smooth iron handle, you feel a seal of ice breaking under the pressure of your body. The room beckons, you enter, and the door closes behind you. Icicles hang on meat hooks suspended from the ceiling. Glacial air pumps into the room from a chattering cooling unit at the far side of the room, something clicking inside of it. A strange frozen hunk of meat hangs upon a frozen hook. Next to it, a rough wooden crate holds more meat wrapped up in parcels. Peering through the icy fog in the room, you see a frozen tableau at the back of the freezer. A woman made of ice clutches something to her chest, teardrops frozen on her face as she glances behind her in fear. Crystallized water wraps around her figure in floral patterns, and winged birds of ice take flight behind her frail form. Her long, elegant nightgown is a sheer fabric of snow trailing behind her. What do you do, sisters?
I would like to investigate the statue, or basically
That's what I was going to suggest too. It seems very out of place for a freezer.
Okay.
Yeah.
As you walk towards the tableau, the woman's frozen eyes seem to follow you no matter where you go. In her hands, you see the frozen, fleshy corpse of a tiny baby. Your touch creates the tiniest crack in the ice bride's skin, and her face turns towards you. Shaking off her snowy gown, the ice bride reveals her naked body, a giant slash across her belly, her stomach hanging from the opened wound like a tongue wagging between lips. She holds her frozen child out to you, looking to your skirts for some place to keep it warm. What do you do?
I'm here to take the child and keep it warm.
Yes.
Same.
I'm also here to comfort the mother.
That would be caress a horror
Yeah.
for that action. Mother, you control the ring. Are you up for caressing the horror?
Would it?
What about care for someone instead?
Yeah.
Let's see. Going to double check against that. She will expect a demonstration of your sincerity. So how do you propose to care for her demonstrating your sincerity? And all sisters can contribute.
Just a suggestion, sisters. Do we want to take the child and wrap it in our dress?
I wonder, as a move to solidarity, because it appears this woman may have tried to keep the child warm at her own expense. Perhaps in a move of solidarity, should we remove ours to make sure that the child is extra warm, more layers around it, potentially?
Or could we to wrap the child in our skirts, but also wrap an arm around her?
I was thinking something along those lines, yes. Wipe her tears, perhaps, as well.
I would argue that rather than denude ourselves of fabric, it would be more pragmatic to hold the child against our skin, no matter how horrifying that is.
Very true, because the mother knows that skin to skin is a good thing.
And we can keep the child between the layers of our clothing and against our skin.
Body heat would warm it up faster. That's a fair point.
I will, sorry.
No, go for it. I'm just waiting for y'all to finish.
No matter what we decide to do about the horror itself, the Fatale will press to lean forward and bestow a kiss upon the mother.
Okay. So, is the agreed upon action to take this child within the bride's arms, to hold it close to her body, wrapping it within her skirts against her to try to warm it, and to possibly comfort the mother by wiping tears?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. As the bride leans in and takes the baby and does this action, and then the baby secured within her skirts against her flesh, so icy cold, icy cold. She leans in and wipes at the frozen tears on the mother's cheek. And the mother leans the head into the bride's hand. And her mouth makes the shape of thank you. The rattling in the air handling system that keeps the freezer cool stops suddenly. The air stops flowing. The mother melts to the ground. The baby in your arms thaws briefly. But you see it is actually made of ice as well. It never makes a scream. and it melts as well. After the baby melts, the air handler cuts back on and makes the rattling noise.
Out of game clarification, was this sculpture made of ice exclusively, or was this a frozen human being?
It was made of ice. It was an ice tableau. It was a sculpture.
I'd like to investigate the fans to see what that rattle is.
The cooling unit hums and shakes under the strain of keeping such a cavernous room at a low temperature. Your thin fingers just manage to fit between the slats, pumping out cool air. Opening the cooling unit, you find a tiny silver rattle bumping around in the stream of cold air. When you shake it, the sound of a wailing baby fills the air along with the crying of a woman. Suddenly, both sounds are overwhelmed by the sound of the cooling unit kicking on again. And you now have a rattle in your hand.
This feels... I can't quite figure out how this could be seen in a positive manner.
I think maybe perhaps husband had this created because one of the brides had lost a child. Perhaps the bride had been lost as well. And this is his way of remembering. It's a tragic way to remember, but it would have been a tragic loss.
So you're
Bride
thinking
may
in
bleed for
his
childbirth.
grief, he couldn't even handle bearing wife and child, potentially.
Perhaps.
Are you thinking that you will propose a truth about this room?
We have enough information yet.
I feel
You have parcels of meat and hanging meat. That's all that's left in this room.
I was about to say, I feel middling about this. I don't necessarily ascribe guilt to it because there's many dangers in the child-bearing bed that makes being what I am a risk in general.
I would say to look at this as, why would there be a tableau, a memorial statue basically made of ice in this freezer? Is it because of faithfulness? You know, basically a faithfulness type thing that there might have been care and possibly love for this woman and child? Or would it be that he caused the harm to this woman and child?
To me, it reads as a tragedy.
I wonder, there was mention of that the statue was dressed. What was the styling of the dress? Was it a higher affluent dress, or was it more simple, like it could theoretically be a servant?
With how she was dressed, as far as the statue, it didn't seem like servant garb.
I think perhaps that this was not from the husband doing something any particularly ill. I think it was him remembering a wife and a child that he had lost.
The absence of children in this house thus far does seem to indicate that should a child be born, it would be unusual at the very least.
Oh, we don't know how many brides came before us. And who's to say how many were able to give him a child? What disturbs me is where, not the what, but where he chose to remember this event. I'm just wondering if it has anything to do with anything specific of this room. What do you think, sisters?
I wonder what if he himself is sterile? And maybe he's aware of this, maybe he is not. But if he is aware of it, and one of his potential brides came with child suddenly, if he was aware of that, he might assume that it was something unusual.
But then why the tribute? Why the ice sculpture?
Keeping with the low level of medical knowledge this bride seems to be demonstrating every time we hurt something, we have already attempted to prevent infection with cold. So should complications have happened during childbirth, it might make sense to move the bride into the freezer.
Could also be that this is a room that he doesn't frequent. He might have made this in honor of a bride, but the memory might be too painful for him to see it every day.
I propose that there is a truth of the danger of childbearing and a memory of loved but tragic loss here.
Out of curiosity for why this room, the meat you said was strange. I'd like to take
It's just strangely shaped. It appears to be some large animal. It doesn't appear to be like cattle or anything, but it's possibly something that was hunted.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So not really anything.
Yeah, it's not like rotting or anything like that. It's frozen meat. So.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And it's not human shaped or anything. So.
That was where my head went first.
That's where everybody's head goes with that.
And we've gone into Sweeney Todd.
I don't disagree.
Okay.
It's still just striking me very odd as the where. And perhaps
where else would you stick an ice sculpture?
True. Just wondering why an ice sculpture instead of a regular sculpture.
I don't. That's an excellent question, and perhaps our bride will one day ask. Let's hope it doesn't piss him off. Okay, so are we proposing a truth, sisters, that Bluebeard actually had care and concern for this bride and was traumatized by the loss of her and the child?
Yes.
That will earn the bride a faithfulness token, and she now has a silver rattle in her bag of tokens. All right. So as she leaves the room, she does get some ice, and she wraps it in the cloth wrapping her leg, and also wraps her ankle with some ice as well to reduce some of the swelling from twisting it. She makes her way. Let me look through my rooms now. She's realizing that she really does need to put her foot up for a little while, so she heads to the library.
I'm delighted with this choice. This is my favorite thing. Please let us live here. I would like the bedroom to be in here. Thank you. That's what I want.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Library, my favorite.
The deep red of the wooden doors gleams in the light, and the swirl carved into the wood reminds you of a woman's back as it meets her hips. The smooth rosewood handles kiss your fingers as your key probes the lock. The room beckons. You enter, and the door closes behind you. Now, Mother, you do control the ring. Do you want to continue controlling the ring during this room, or would you like to pass it off?
I think for this time, if it's okay, I'd like to keep.
That's perfectly fine. Okay. As you enter the room, you smell almond, vanilla, musk, and an undercurrent of smoke. You are standing in a grand library with shelves that reach all the way to the high ceiling. A brass ladder runs on rails to give access to the upper shelves, its surfaces shining as if recently polished. A reading nook has a candle holder on a swivel arm, a blue daybed, and a large hand fan made of feathers. A central table has an open book on a stand with a glass dome over both objects. Your mysterious objects in this room are a brass ladder, a daybed, a fan made of feathers, and a book under a dome.
What did I tell you about sleeping in here?
Book seems interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Wonder what's in it.
Okay. So, are we all in agreement to go take a closer look at the book?
Sure.
Okay. With the book under a dome, the dark leather that makes up each page has strange patterns embedded in it. The thread used to bind the pages to the cover is dark and rough. Touching the book reveals the leather to be obscenely soft. The pages are the skin of a woman, flattened and tanned and sewn into a book. Bloody letters appear on the pages. It is the thoughts of a woman who worried more over her appearance than the feelings of her husband, and her growing obsession with being the perfect woman. The former bride appears, sitting on the steps of the ladder. She castigates you for all of your flaws and attacks with the intent to peel off the bride's skin and make a new book. What do you do?
This one feels pretty hostile.
Yeah.
I always have sympathy for female characters here, so.
I'm wondering if Caressa Horror wouldn't be a good try.
I almost think that she might be lashing out because of her own insecurities. Maybe she needs reassurance.
In any case, we have already attracted desire. We cannot be less perfect yet.
Mother, your moves as controlling the ring. You can shiver from fear, caress a horror, dirty yourself with violence, cry out for help, or give up the ring to another sister to handle this situation.
Poor.
I think I might actually give the ring to the Virgin.
Okay.
Okay.
The ring will pass to the Virgin. Mother, you do not take any trauma until the Virgin passes the ring. Okay? So Virgin, you now have the ring. And you have, beyond your maiden moves, you have your ring moves of shiver from fear, caress a horror, dirty yourself with violence. You want to caress a horror?
I think I would like to use one of my faces.
Your faces. Okay. What you got, dear?
So what I have is my beauty is a candle in the darkness. When I care for someone by showing them something beautiful, I don't have to demonstrate my sincerity.
Okay.
So I would like to point out the beauty of the book and how beautiful and soft the skin of the book is, and how beautiful and soft her skin must have been, and appreciate it.
Okay, so when you care for someone... Okay, so you do not have to do your sincerity. However, I think you need to roll your is it resilience? I think that's what it was.
Yes.
Yeah, it's the resilience. You're going to roll your resilience on that to see how successful you are in convincing her. Because even though you don't have to be sincere, she is hostile.
Yes, I rolled a 7.
Okay. She does get distracted from that hostility, but not before she actually wounds the bride. Take a trauma.
Done.
And as she gets distracted and looks at the book and she says, yes, I was so soft, wasn't I? I couldn't see it then. I was already good enough. And she fades. And the book drops to the floor.
I want to investigate this book because I want to know why Bluebeard has kept it.
Okay.
Because me keeping this book would be like, and then we lit this on fire because I don't care who made it.
Yeah.
Skin.
Yeah. Human being book. That's a fucking
smells like
red flag
bacon.
for me.
I was about to say, also, I feel like it would attract dark wizards. We don't need any more dark wizards. We have one.
Buffalo
Okay.
Bill vibes, anybody?
So you actually, when you investigate a mysterious object, you can ask 2 questions. So why did he keep it? What's your other question?
It wasn't one of them. Oh,
Whose item was it? What memories does this item hold? Which that kind of got explained in the description of the item.
let's do the memories and the.
Okay, because the
things.
memories kind of already got explained. But
Which is fair, but odd or uncanny, it's a flesh-bound book. It's already odd and uncanny.
yeah, okay. So Bluebeard kept the item because it was made by his bride.
Oh, Lord.
So the bride was a serial killer, like this.
Or
Like-
she made it of herself.
She made it from her own flesh.
And he kept it maybe because it was another one of those traumatizing things. Like the last one, it was a memory. He couldn't let go of that last piece of her.
I feel like
I think
It meant a lot to her, obviously.
I genuinely hope he never comes into this room because he's genuinely traumatized every time he looks at this book.
yeah, he's so traumatized he has it under a glass dome.
Never touch it.
Yes.
I don't know. This one
Maybe
feels
along
a
the
little
lines.
sus.
Maybe along the lines of that, he did think that her skin was perfect. So maybe not necessarily traumatic, but still a memorial
Or a
piece
trophy.
in a way. Yeah.
Well,
This makes me feel like we're in a bind here. Like I don't know about the rest of you all, but I don't want to be
Skin.
finding a fucking book.
Well, from the
But
sounds of
Bluebeard
it, she did
didn't
it
do it.
herself.
But
Yes.
it's in his house.
Because he,
Kept it.
he
Well, then
obviously
maybe he
loved
had
her.
poor choice in other wives.
Okay, I feel like that excuse is wearing thin.
Okay, so we had another question about what memories the book holds.
Mhm.
The memories of the book is not just about the graphic way it was created. It has her intent embedded into its pages. She truly felt that she was so physically imperfect, that she wasn't pretty enough, that she wasn't feminine enough, that she wasn't ideal enough to be the wife of a lord.
So shouldn't he say, "Hey, don't make your flesh into a book, honey"? It's like because you're so pretty that
Do we
like,
have therapists
Well, maybe he
in this
did.
world?
We don't know his side of it.
Yeah.
All we know is that there's this book under a glass dome. And this is his way of honoring his dead bride.
It's rather clearly her intent, but the motivations for that intent, whether she's driven to it or she simply is compelled to it, we do not know.
There are other things to look at in this room.
I would like to look at the fan, if that
Okay.
is okay with you, sisters.
fine by me.
Okay. The fan is made of 2 layers of feathers, the longer layer comprised of long, stiff feathers the color of wine, and the shorter layer of softly fluttery black feathers. Using the fan causes a whisper to reach your ear with each stroke. You are not beautiful enough. You don't deserve nice things. Just look at your dirty nails. The bride's nails then begin to lift from her nail beds and fall off.
And I took that and I threw it on the ground.
out of fear that
Well-
that would happen to us, I creeped out, like to get out of here.
Yeah, I'm feeling that vibe. I'm feeling that.
I think
I'm
Perhaps-
feeling strong disloyalty vibes in this building. If nothing else, he's owning a book made of human flesh. That is like regardless of the intent behind it, that is a demonstrable fact.
And a weird gaslighting fan.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to politely disagree with the fan. I think we are definitely enough. And we are beautiful.
And also, using the fan made our nails fall off. I'm feeling some sus vibes in this house.
At minimum, we'd like to leave.
I'm thinking we go the truth route.
I'd like to propose a truth then.
Okay, what truth would you like to propose, sisters?
Disloyalty.
I am not of the disloyalty vibe. I am still of the faithful. How do the rest of the sisters feel?
Okay, so so Virgin, as you hold the ring, what is your truth for faithfulness?
I think that Bluebeard, in his own way, whether we agree with it or not, has honored previous wives and has obviously loved them.
Okay, now Animus, what is your truth you propose for disloyalty?
I propose that our potential loving husband possesses a book made of human flesh, and that feels to me like a bad sign. So I'm gonna. That's a one in the.
Just all the red flags are going right.
It's like,
I have a question for the other three of us. Do we believe that there is a truth here, or are we just freaked out and want to leave?
I feel there's a
freaked out.
I'm feeling the truth route. Like that. That's regardless of who made the book is owned. It exists, and like
he didn't create it though.
So how's a disloyalty to him?
That sounds like disloyalty to the mother. So we have two people that are saying that this is something that inspires disloyalty in the bride towards Bluebeard. We have two that are completely spooked out and want to get out of this room. So that might be leaning towards a bit of disloyalty too, because the contents of this room have scared the shit out of them. And then we have the Virgin who is totally in denial and thinking her husband, the sun rises and set because of her husband's ass in the morning.
Yes. I was questioning the animus. That was not a vote for disloyalty. I just want to make that clear.
Okay. You were questioning? Okay.
So what was the question? Because I didn't catch that. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. I was just saying, was that I was questioning you. Anyway, I actually agree with the escape. Just get out of here. We've lost our nails. That's it. Done.
So if you escape, the Virgin may be at risk of taking trauma. Just make yourselves aware of this.
Are y'all going to do that to me?
What's your trauma?
No. We don't matter what trauma is on this game, okay?
Sorry. I wasn't trying to.
But understand, you are putting your sister at risk.
I propose a second thing to the escape plan, given that I have posited this. We have clearly divided feelings amongst the sisterhood on what this indicates. So, the next room we enter in should give us a clearer feeling of whether it is disloyalty we are aiming towards or loyalty. And I will posit that we must propose a truth in the next room.
Are you recommending that we do not propose a truth in this room?
Correct.
Okay.
I can understand that because these sisters seem very divided over what the symbolism in this room means. And the horrors are trying to present. So we will do an escape. You will attempt to escape. Now, the bride is already, her nails have started to fall off. I will say that her nails all fall off. You take a trauma, Virgin. And she runs in a panic out of the room.
Okay.
Her heart is beating a mile a minute. She has cold sweat, everything. She is completely panicked after this. So much for resting her feet in the library reading a nice book, right?
Right.
Hey, it was a good idea for like 9 seconds.
Well, I'm sorry for touching the fan, okay?
The fan was the low point in that room. I don't know, but the book.
Told you, I have no issue with the books. The book's fine.
Yeah, you know. Yeah,
And I'm with it. And I took that shit and I threw it on the ground. Absolutely not.
All right. So that was, I'm looking for another room that the bride is going to run into. Hang on. Okay, that one's been done.
We'll note, when we were back at Dad's in the carpentry shop, our nails did not fall out. That is a demonstrable fact.
Yeah.
Okay, so from the bleeding leg and the, from the bleeding leg she had that she did bind up, but some blood got on her skirts, and the nails falling off does cause a little bit of capillary bleeding. So she's a little bit messy at this point. She might have some stains on her garment, and so she's going to head to the laundry room. Okay. The grease from your fingers smudge this perfectly white door. The porcelain door handle glides easily into your hand, sliding the door open. The room beckons, you enter, and the door closes behind you. Steam rises from a wide basin of soapy water in the center of this immaculate room. Alabaster tiles cover the floor and walls of the room, and bright white lights hang from the ceiling. Men and women move quickly between tasks, scrubbing linens and scalding hot water, hanging them to dry and pressing flat the clean sheets. Rows upon rows of spotless sheets hang at the back of the room, waiting to be folded on a simple two-legged folding table attached to the wall. A row of irons and a small black furnace toward the back is the only dark spot in this room. Your mysterious objects to investigate in this room are the water basin, rows of hanging sheets, folding table, and furnace and irons.
I propose investigating the furnace.
Okay.
So all sisters agree?
Yep, that's fine.
Virgin, you currently have control of the ring. Do you wish to keep it or pass it?
I think I'll keep it just for now.
Okay, that's perfectly fine. Okay. Drawing closer to the folding table, you see a pale woman in a white dress standing in front of it, frantically folding undergarments. The lines on her face... I'm sorry, it was the furnace. I'm sorry. Reading the wrong thing.
Yes.
A neat row of irons stands next to a sizzling black furnace. A young maid kneels, weeping before the furnace, placing hot coals into an iron. The iron has fused to her unprotected hand. She reaches for another coal with her blistered hands, but hesitates, and it falls to the ground. For a moment, the room around you grows dark and dank. The tiles chip and age. A brisk wind hits your neck. Then, in a blink of an eye, you are back in the clean white room, and the girl is gone.
That was freaky.
Look, I want to know why our husband is a wizard.
No, this place is fucking haunted.
Yeah, like, where's the nearest divorce attorney? Like,
Maybe we're just really psychic, okay?
Look, you can have evil wizards too. I just want to know why he's a wizard.
Even if we're just
All right,
extra
so-
psychic, there's something here to be catching.
Oh, yeah.
I want to investigate this.
So I
piece,
guess-
actually,
Okay, so if you want to investigate this item, you can. You can
Yes.
ask two. You can ask two questions, Vitali.
like to ask, what memories does this hold?
The memories with this furnace and these irons was of a servant who was young and experienced and slow with her work. She was treated harshly by those who were supervising her and forced to work faster than was safe. She was injured. A hot iron did fuse to her skin, but she was forced to work through it.
And what is odd or uncanny about this?
that everyone in this room acts as if nothing ever happened.
That puts my guard up, but I also want to point out that traditionally it would be the woman's role to manage the household. So it is
Indeed.
a possible case of a wife of Bluebeard that caused this to happen.
She could have been a very strict lady of the house. I'd like to think we wouldn't be like that.
Can we talk to any of the servants in here?
You can certainly try. They're very busy with their work. They may not pay much mind to you.
I will point out, for the rest of the sisters' benefit, at some point I do have a move that allows me to talk to the servants if that becomes necessary.
I can also command somebody if we need to. With fervor.
Would you like to investigate further before you try to initiate conversation?
Yes.
Okay.
I think we wanted to look at the sheets.
Mhm.
The sheets?
Yes.
As you approach the sheets, they smell clean and fresh. It's refreshing, honestly. I mean, this entire room is so sparkling white and clean. It's a dark contrast to other areas that you've been that have been not so pleasant. It seems that the servants in this room really do hold a high standard of work. As you reach to touch one of the sheets with your maimed hand, one of the servants happens to notice out of the corner of their eyes, and she looks over and says, "Don't touch that. You at least wash your hands first."
This seems reasonable. Or
Bleeding without any nails. That's
Could apologize, I guess.
I mean, I'm sure we have lots of sheets. We could be like...
Bluebeard gets these idiot fucking country girls, and they don't know anything about how to maintain cleanliness. I swear.
I'm sorry. We were just appreciating how beautiful your work was. We will try not to stain it.
Thank you. Just keep your hands off. Now, I must get back to work.
Well, she said to wash her hands. I'd like to investigate the
water basin. Okay. The water basin is
we have
filled...
like 10 open wounds on our hands right now. In addition to all this shit.
Do not put your hands in it.
Can I
because
have
there might be lie in it. And
Yeah,
that
it
does
has
not
like
show.
lie and shit.
Can I have a pause before we go and investigate the wash basin and remind everybody we do have a take stock move that allows us to figure out if there are traps for us in this room, and that seems pragmatic at this point.
Yeah.
So we should.
My mother agrees.
Yeah. Okay, so who would like to take stock? Okay, Animus, you're going to take stock. So
Everyone.
What you get one question to ask from the take stock choices.
Stock. What traps have been laid for the bride?
There is lye in the water. That's what gets those white sheets so pearly white. And you will definitely burn the bride's hands if you stick her hands in the water.
Do that.
Yeah, that is some chemical water, like normal skin going into that would be a problem. And we have like multiple wounds on our hands right now.
I'd like to posit that this is, besides the obvious need for change in management and how we handle things here, this is a pretty normal laundry room.
Except, you know, the whole fused iron to hands thing, you know,
Well, we have one last thing to look at.
Yep, as the new lady of the house, though, you have the right to inspect things that happen in your household. So there is one item left that you can inspect, and it is the folding table.
Sure. Check that out.
Okay. Drawing closer to the folding table, you see a pale woman in a white dress standing in front of it, frantically folding undergarments. The lines on her face are drawn tight, her wrinkly hands working at a frantic pace as she mutters to herself. The woman turns to you, gasping at your hideously dirty dress. A low hiss whistles between her teeth. Sss. The commotion of the laundry room immediately stops. I think you've just met the head of the laundry room here. The lights flicker, the tiled walls chip, and the basins overflow with ruddy red water. Only dirty women with dirty thoughts keep themselves in such a way. You are just like her, a dirty girl who needs to be punished. I will scrub you clean. The water continues to rise, lapping at your ankles and wetting your dress.
Hey, I think I am going to pass the ring off at this point to the witch.
But the animus can command people.
Well, can't you use your special power without the ring?
No, a face power you can.
Yes.
Oh, I can. Oh,
Yes.
Yeah.
It is triggered by events happening.
So is the Y is rising out of the basin sort of trap style?
Yeah,
It's
basically
like
the water is rising in the room. It's overflowing and it is ready like it's tinged with blood.
I'm going to tell the head laundry mistress to take a swim in the Y.
Okay, so let's take a look at your move. You mark one trauma.
Yeah.
Give a direct. Okay, so it is either carried out to the letter and then some. It is overwhelmingly carried out or sloppily, or it's not something they can do and a third party steps in to carry it out. So what I want you to do is roll your carnality in this because you are trying to harm her. Okay, you got an 8. So this one is overwhelming and carried out sloppily. She goes to swim through this water and it burns her skin, but as she does it, she actually gets some in her mouth and starts to inhale it. The servant dies.
Oh, good.
In front of our young bride's face. The water goes away. It was basically an apparition. But you have a dead servant now in front of a young bride. Mark another trauma, sister.
This is me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm full.
Yes, you are. You're going to pull up your reference sheet for Shattered Animus. And you are going to read what is in... Read the passage in the white box.
We're no longer whole. Our connection is severed. Our mind is fragmented. Our deepest fears are exposed. Our blood feeds the horrors, and I welcome them.
From here on out, the Animus may not control the ring. From here on out, the Animus may not do maiden moves in a room. However, the Animus, as a shattered psyche aspect, can still provide input and suggestion. Also, there may be times where a sister misses her role. I will look to the Animus to ask the Animus to describe what happens. It is not warm and fuzzy, ladies. Things are about to get very dark.
Concern intensifies.
I want to bring up that I said we had to propose a truth in this room because
you did.
You did, and you shattered a sister for it. Good job.
I was going to make a face move, and then I was like, no, you know what?
Let them have it.
Shame.
Yeah, once they are shattered, you can no longer heal the trauma. They have completely broken. Yeah. Okay. So,
just for clarification, I don't vote anymore, right? Probably. How does that work?
yeah,
If
you
someone
don't. You don't have a vote as far as deciding an outcome. You can give your input, but they can choose whether or not they want to go that route. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
We've just proved the point that we, as the wife of Bluebeard, are pieces of shit.
I'm thinking that it wasn't so much Bluebeard and it was the wives.
Yeah.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I feel like this is a loyalty token to Bluebeard. We should strive to be kind and compassionate to our servants and not tell them to drink bleach.
Not kill anymore.
That's
we just made a
sign of new
statement.
management.
we made a statement as new heads of the house. We'll say that.
We will fucking kill you if you treat us poorly.
I would, as the Fatal, I would like to request new items of clothing to wear that are not stained.
Okay.
And I think as Virgin, maybe we should make a statement to the remaining staff members in the laundry and tell them we're not going to kill them too.
You know what? After seeing the head laundress collapse after drinking lye water, they basically rush to get you clothing and dress the bride and make sure she is comfortable. And they're, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. They are not fucking around with you.
This is actually why I paused.
We have established dominance with T-pose, capital T-pose.
I was about to say, this is why I posit that the truth of this room is that we must be responsible with the power we hold. It is not just the power of our husband that impacts how this household is run.
Do all sisters that can vote agree?
Yes.
The bride has earned a loyalty token. One of the irons at the furnace is now within the bag of tokens. Now, the bride has collected 3 loyalty tokens and only 1 disloyalty token. Our bride is very loyal to her husband. And it sounds like she's just as ruthless and brutal as he is, so they might be a perfect fucking couple.
Oh, team.
Went out in flames.
Oh, just a moment while I pull up my little special ending sheet. So now we're going to move towards the end of our game. The bride leaves the laundry room, freshly dressed and cleaned, and now in pristine condition to be the head madam of this house. You have traveled these dark halls in search of truth most divisive. Each room provided you with all the evidence you desired to make that one fateful choice. Now you stand before the forbidden final room, and you must decide. Do you enter the room or look through the keyhole?
Wait.
He said we're not to enter. He didn't say we couldn't look in.
I agree. We're not disobeying husband by just looking in. It would be disobeying him to go in.
Mother, what is your input on this decision?
I think neither are a good option. Do we have another option?
As far as this, you have the faithful outcome. There are 2 choices. You are now standing in front of the door to his private room. You either enter or look through the door.
Look through the door.
Okay. Vitali?
I am curious to his mindset, particularly after the bedroom. It is something that speaks to me specifically, but I am outvoted, and I believe we look through the keyhole.
Okay. And I will say I heard the animus say just do it, so he was trying to egg them into going into the room. I will say that he is outvoted.
Yes.
So, There are 5 questions I get to ask you each, and I'm going to go around the table and have you each answer one. Animus, as the bride looks through the keyhole, what did the bride lose when she saw the horrors through the keyhole? And what she saw through the keyhole was blood all over the floor and women's bodies in the room. So what did the bride lose when she saw the horrors through the keyhole?
She lost her sense of humanity.
Okay.
It didn't bother her.
Okay. Fatali, what loving impulse keeps the bride from going into the room?
The sense that with the absence of our husband to question, we don't know his motives.
Mother, when Bluebeard returned and he checked the key and noticed that it was still pristine and you had not entered the room, how did Bluebeard reward you for remaining loyal and not ever going inside?
He let us have the garden.
He let you have the garden. The former bride would be very happy with that. Virgin, what is the bride's favorite room to spend her days in? And it can be any room, not necessarily ones that you saw today.
It would actually probably be the greenhouse.
Okay.
I was about to say the library, and I'm just going to revolt.
I was tempted, but no. I figured the greenhouse would be lovely.
Okay, and Witch, how does the bride cope with the horrors she spied through the keyhole?
Both denial and the understanding of her own power to charm her husband when so many others have failed.
Well, congratulations, ladies and gentlemen. You have successfully completed Bluebeard's bride, and your bride survived, at least for now.
By being a murderer. That's how we survive.
Well, ultimately, Animus pushed us all over the edge, so.
When you lose that righteousness, you will do some fucked up shit.
As soon as Animus killed somebody, we were all like, nope, we are loyal, we are good, we will listen to husband. All is good.
Oh.
Well, thank you everyone here on Twitch for joining us today for my second run of Bluebeard's Bride. And thank you so much to my cast of players today. You guys were awesome. I was cracking up at times. I had to mute myself because I was literally busting a gut laughing over the choices and debating y'all were doing. Absolutely fantastic. Fantastic. Did I spook you out at all?
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. This game is very scary.
The fingernails?
The freezer.
I've lost fingernails.
I have too.
And, I hate it.
I've lost a toenail. That shit. It's a problem.
It's creepy.
Yeah, between the library and the freezer, I was just like, no.
Do come join us. You can actually hang out with all the people you see here on stream today in Discord, and Shanky has made sure that our bot posted the link to it. Join us in Discord, chat with us, hang out with us. We are a fun group. And we post up casting calls. Like for this game, I posted this up in the casting couch in our Discord. And all these people were the first ones to say, hey, I want in. I'm like, hey, you got a seat. So and do check out some of our friends here on Twitch. We have our links in the chat there for great streaming content related to gaming, tabletop gaming. Some do video games. We have vampire streams that some of our friends run. We've got all kinds of fun games. We've got, the Macabre Derek, the RPG table, Sanguine Knights, Archives of the Dragon does Changeling, awesome, and she did Thirsty Sword Lesbians recently too, so that was, I'm sure, fun. I still need to catch up because I'm so behind on streams. And Thread Raiders does some great charity streams. They really do, and they also have some D&D streams that they run. And Anime Panda does some games. She does some content too. She does a lot of VU games right now, and occasionally she will run a D&D stream as well. And then we have upcoming tomorrow at 5 p.m. Eastern is our Vampire the Masquerade V5 Chronicle set in Chicago of Windy City After Dark. It is our season 1 finale. It is episode 10. And it is called Tipping Point for a reason. The city's on the verge of war. And it's craziness, and everything's going to go to hell. So join us at 5 p.m. Eastern tomorrow. And then on Saturday next week at 3 p.m., Ishvel is returning, but it is a special one-shot with most of the cast from Ishvel, where they're playing different characters in a special little one-shot, and then they'll be resuming their normal story the following Saturday. So we hope to see you then, and do check out our content on YouTube if you would like to see all of our streams. We have YouTube channels for McStabber Studios as well as Haunted Chronicles, which will be returning in a couple weeks on Tuesday nights, which is a Chronicles of Darkness game, and also Ishvel has their own channel for their D&D 5e streams. What have I missed, Bill? Oh, subs. Subs and follows here on Twitch. We greatly appreciate all the follows and subs that we get here on Twitch. If you have Amazon Prime, you actually get 1 free subscription a month. You might consider giving it to us. If you give bits or donations during a stream, that does not go to myself. I am married to the studio namesake, Shanky McStabber, so he has to buy all my shit. But the bits and donations go to our players, so you might be able to buy them a coffee or a lunch or something if you give donations. Don't listen to her. She's my stepdaughter. But what else am I missing, Bill? Is that it?
Really are.
And we do have merchandise now. So now there is a link in our little bot we'll post up. We have merchandise. So we have a great poster that was fan made by Combustion Girl, who did an amazing freaking poster for Windy City After Dark. And it's actually a movie poster size. It's amazing. Awesome. We got it, and we need to buy a frame for it because we're going to hang it up in our studio here. It's fucking beautiful. And then on top of it, thank you, an anonymous cheerer, for cheering and giving us 1,000 bits. Thank you so much.
Cool.
We will disperse that amongst our players. But yeah, and so basically we have the merch. We've got coffee cups. We've got T-shirts. I mean, there's even one, you guys, you don't qualify for this shirt, but we do have one that says, I played in a McStabber studio. I died in a McStabber Studios one shot, and all I got was this shirt. So yeah, I mean, most of our players in one shots end up dying, but you guys actually survived. So yay, you.
Again, that wasn't necessarily going to be a thing. If we hadn't murdered somebody else, we might have continued becoming more disloyal.
We scared ourselves into loyalty, so.
Yes, you did. You totally did. You gaslighted your fucking selves.
Mission accomplished.
Nope.
No, not us.
So check out our merch store if you would like to get anything related to McStabber Studio streaming content. We've got some great stuff, even for like Ishvel. We have a dwarf character named Torvald that we have a beer stein that says Torvald's gut punch on it. It's really great. I mean, we've got a lot of stuff over there that's super cute. And anyway, like I said, come hang out with us in Discord, and thank you so much for joining us. And I hope to see you tomorrow in chat as we stream our season 1 finale of Chicago by Night, Windy City After Dark, a V5 stream. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.